Praise the Lord, my beautiful, blessed souls. We are back with another word, bruised and not broken. I know today was, the day everyone celebrates love. I don't do the pagan holidays, but I do believe in love. God is love. Just wanted to share this with you guys as far as the love thing is concerned. This is intimacy with God, and that was from the other day. And then we're going into the 15th and always there. So you can see that. But anyway, I want to get into Deuteronomy chapter 15. We are going to talk about love a little bit because God is love. And it plays a major role in this world, in life. And I myself had to take a step back. I got me some flowers and relaxed today and thought about love and what it really means in the godly sense. And what's missing in this world, because we say we have love, but do we really? So let's get into Deuteronomy chapter 15 and then we're going to talk about it. I may do a series on this or special, but actually I believe I did. If we go back, I think I did something on love a while ago. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but you can go back and look because I believe I did one. Deuteronomy chapter 15, at the end of every 7 years, you shall grant a release. Now, these is where they get the debt release, the 7-year debt release. Now, remember, everything that God does, the devil mimics. Please excuse the music. I live in an apartment building and it is loud when it's the weekend and they're playing stuff. Anyway, and this is the manner of the release. Every creditor shall release what he has lent to his neighbor. He shall not exact it of his neighbor, his brother, because the Lord's release has proclaimed. This is something like the Jubilee year. As you know, the Jubilees, that is another thing that they do, but we haven't got that far. Of a foreigner you may exact it, but whatever of yours with your brother, your hand shall release. So remember, this is speaking about specific, it's talking about debt. And we're going to get into what debt is because it's not just a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing. But there will be no poor among you. Remember, this is what this is about. For the Lord will bless you in the land that the Lord your God is giving you for an inheritance to possess. If only you will strictly obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all these commandments that I command you today. For the Lord your God will bless you as he promised you, and you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. And this is where being the head and not the tail, living in abundance, overflow like life comes in for believers. You shall lend but not borrow. You shall be the head and not the tail, and you shall rule over many nations, but they shall not rule over you. Pay attention to what the wording is saying, because when we think about the people and the children of God who are chosen, remember he said, choose ye this day blessings or curses, his way or the curse way, meaning the way that he's giving you to live or the curse way, which is the way of the world. And so when we understand why we're in bondage, this is why, because of disobedience. So now, if among you, one of your brothers should become poor in any of your towns within your land that the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not harden your heart or shut your hand against your poor brother. Now, when we think about our lives and we think about love, where is that when we look at these things? Because it's talking about poverty, it's talking about all of these things. So where is the love in this world for that? Because we just celebrated love and everyone says it's all about love. But with what goes on in this world, how can we really say we love? There's no love here. Not the way it should be. The love we have here is very conditional, and and we're going to get into it. Now, God's love is different because it's unconditional. No, it's not unconditional because it has conditions, but he still loves you unconditionally. But you shall open your hand to him and lend him sufficient for his need, meaning whatever it may be, whatever he needs. Take care lest there be an unworthy thought in your heart, and you say the 7th year, meaning the year of the release is near, and your eye look grudgingly on your poor brother, and you give him nothing. Why? Because you know that if you give it to him, it's going to be released. You have to release the debt, and he don't have to pay you back. And he cried to the Lord against you, and you be guilty of sin. When we think of the world of debt and how it is over us, where's the love? All right. You shall give to him freely. Your heart shall not be grudging when you give to him, because for this the Lord your God will bless you in all your work and in all that you undertake. For there will never cease to be poor in the land, meaning there will always be poor amongst you. Therefore I command you, you shall open wide your hand to your brother, to the needy, and to the poor in your land. And this is why celebrities give. Why? Because there's blessings in giving. This is why they use the principles of the rules and regs, the laws of the kingdom in the world, because they know that they work and they still stand. Whether you're a blessed or evil or wicked person or what, it still stands. If your brother, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, is sold to you, he shall serve you 6 years. In the 7th year, you shall let him go free of you. And when you let him go free from you, you shall not let him go empty-handed. So now, even when they were talking about all of this slavery and they preach and teach all of this, as we can see, God's way of slavery was totally different, because it was servants, then it was enslaved, but we're going to get into it. And it was a difference in it. And the way that they were treated was like family. And so when we look at them using the Bible for purpose of white supremacy, for purpose of keeping you manipulated in bondage, because that is witchcraft and sorcery, hence Willie Lynch letter, you shall furnish him liberally out of your flock, out of your threshing floor, and out of your winepress. As the Lord your God has blessed you, you shall give to him when he leaves. You shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord your God redeemed you. Therefore I command you to this day, today. But if he says to you, I will not go out from you, because he loves you and your household, meaning because you treat him well, because you're supposed to, since he is well off with you, then you shall take an awl and put it through his ear into the door, and he shall be your slave forever. And your female slave, you shall do the same. It shall not seem hard to you when you let him go free from you. For at half the cost of a hired worker, he has served you 6 years. So the Lord your God will bless you in all that you do. Now remember, this is about debt. This is about finances. This is about different situations. So when God is talking about these things, it's talking about debt and being indebted. But it's more than just a natural thing. We're going to get into all the firstborn males that are born of your herd and flock you shall dedicate to the Lord your God. You shall do no work with the firstborn your herd, nor share your firstborn of your flock. You shall eat it and your household before the Lord your God, year by year, at the place that the Lord would choose. But if it has any blemish, if it is lame or blind or has any serious blemish whatsoever, you shall not sacrifice it to the Lord your God. Remember, only holy sacrifices. You shall eat it within your town. The unclean and the clean alike may be eaten, as though it were a gazelle or a deer. Only you shall not eat its blood. You shall pour it out on the ground like water. Now remember, they're talking about all of this stuff with the adrenochrome and all this stuff and eating of blood, and even with the steaks and all the stuff, they like it rare. So when you think about these things, God has a reason for it. You're not supposed to eat the flesh, meaning the life force, the blood of anything. Now, in Dueteronomy, in this chapter, Moses gives orders concerning the release of debts every 7th year, with a caution that there should be no hindrance to charitable lending. Meaning, because this predatorily, what do we see? Predatory lending, where it's always at the upper hand of the one who's doing the lending. It's to in bondage and enslave and indebt you. And this is what this is about. Concerning the release of servants after 7 years of service, concerning the sanctification of the firstlings or of cattle to God, etc. So now, when you think about slavery, being a servant, being in bondage, because that's what that is, we have to understand what comes with this. Because how you treat people, no matter where they are and what is going on, God sees it, and he has a problem with the way that we are handled here. So when people talk about, slavery and all these things, no, God has issues with all of it. Was it allowed? Yes. Why? Because we played parts in it with our disobedience. And this is why we were enslaved. We were told not to go back out and worship these gods. And when they did, they were enslaved again. Why? God had already freed them. So let's get into it. But where is the love? Because if love is what we're really talking about here, love will not let you do certain things. Enslaving people just because you can doesn't mean you should do, because you have the upper hand. And this is a problem, because having power, everyone wants it. but how you lead. Because are you going to be abusive with the power? Are you going to be just with it? This is what this is about. And this is why power given into the wrong hands is a very dangerous and deadly weapon. We see it all throughout the world. We see it all throughout life because there's no love in certain things. It's control, it's pride, it's ego, it's manipulation, it's jealousy, envy, it's covetousness. This is what this is about. And this is about being dominant, having control, and wanting to be God in people's lives. So let's get into it. Here's a fresh, clean, spiritually intelligently summary of Dueteronomy 15, crafted in this layer. We're going to look at it as spiritual and lineage. Summary with spiritual lineage focus. Dueteronomy 15 is God's blueprint for a just, compassionate, economically healed lineage. Why? Because all of these things, if you notice, God has been establishing to show them how to manage life in every aspect of their lives before they even enter into the promised land. Why? Their economics have to be in order. The place that they're going to live, everything has to be in order. And he's teaching them through this. It teaches Israel how to build a society where debt doesn't become generational bondage, where freedom is protected, and where generosity becomes a cultural inheritance. What do we see? Where is the love? Because love will allow you to operate this way. Operating outside of it, there's no love there. Because you have to have love and compassion even for people who are considered to be slaves or servants or beneath you, so you claim or think, because no one's beneath you. It's just that they may happen to be in a place in their life where it's not, of the greatest situation. But their lives and their souls is no different in God's eyes. It still has just the same exact value as anyone else. That's why he's not a respecter of persons. This chapter is about resetting cycles, breaking poverty patterns, and forming a lineage that reflects God's heart. The year of release. Every 7 years, Israel must what? Cancel debts, release borrowers, stop demanding repayment. Trust God to bless them for obeying. God's promises is that there will be no poor among you if you obey. You will lend to many nations and borrow from none. Now, if you know all of the blessings and curses come with prerequisites, meaning rules and regs. So now, if you follow these rules, this is where you will be. But if you don't, it will be the opposite. See? So then we will understand how we got to where we are. Because are we practicing these practices? No, we are not. So that lets us understand, one, godly way is the loving way. God is love, right? So obviously, where's the love? There's no love if you want to indebt people, enslave people. That's people talk about love, even in relationships. You cannot say you love someone and want to be Lord over them, God over them, have no respect for them, want to treat them any kind of way. That's not love. That's manipulation. That is pride and ego. That is you wanting to force them to do whatever it is you want them to do, like you're God in their lives, like they must bow to you, kneel to you. No, we all have free will. Okay, so canceling of debts, and we see this in the world. Like I said, they mimic everything that God does, Satan does, because they will have you in a world where they cancel debts, but they also have you in a world where their lending is predatory. So it's always about them and what they're doing. They created kingdoms and systems of the world that they benefit from, only certain ones, and others do not. And it's based on continuing to keep people enslaved, up under them, beneath them, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually. They do not want you to be empowered. So where is the love in that? Okay. So like I said, 7 years, you must cancel debts. And debts is more than just a physical debt. Debts are also spiritual. Why? Because forgiveness can be a debt when someone owes you an art, when they've done something to you. So this is where that comes in the spiritual aspect. And you have to release it. Release borrowers, stop demanding repayment, trust God to bless them for obeying, meaning because they're going to not continue to have them pay them back. Now, indebting, along with that, because we see a lot of people talking about, what someone owes them. We're going to get into that too. God's promises, there will be no poor among you if you obey. If you obey, you will lend to many nations and borrow from none. But they said there will be, the poor will always be here. But when it comes to the children of Israel, there will be none of poor among them. Spiritual lineage, meaning God builds a system where debt cannot become generational slavery. Release is a spiritual discipline that protects future generations. This is why we have to forgive. We have all of these things. Why? Because it is a release. And I know that it is not the easiest thing in the world. We're going to get into that as well. Open-handed generosity. God commands, do not harden your heart. Do not be tight-fisted. Open your hand wide. Give generously and without resentment. God promises the Lord, God will bless you in all your work. Now, cases of love and cases of situations, people's hearts become hardened after a certain amount of time in this world. We're not going to sit here and say that they don't. Forgiveness isn't things that's debt. When you don't forgive, when someone ought you, did something wrong. These are things that we're supposed to release. It is not an easy thing. And I say a lot of times it's not that people don't forgive. I think a lot of times it's they don't forget. It's like, people say the information is here in front of you. Yeah, but do you want to take it? Do you want to actually use it and change? People can put things in front of you all day. If you don't want it, you don't want to use it, you don't want to change. It's not going to do anything for you. So spiritual lineage. A lineage is shaped by generosity becomes lineage shaped by blessing. Stinginess creates scarcity. Generosity creates abundance. And each generation is supposed to do better than the next. A lot of times in our society, especially as Black people, we're crabs in a barrel. We do not want to see anyone move forward. And that is a slavery mentality. Giving, helping one another has become, because they've taught us to be so divided, to not love one another, to not stick together. And this is the sad reality of why slavery mentality of scarcity, because we're not being generous to one another, but to everyone else but us. And that is a problem because it brings about curses upon yourself. Why? You're blessing everyone else except for the one who is actually being a blessing to you. That is a problem. Why? Because there's no reaping and sowing. You're sowing, but you're not reaping, because whatever you're sowing, whomever, people, places, and things you're sowing into is not sowing back into you. So it's going out, and that's a depletion, and it's never returning back. That is bankruptcy. Mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually, reciprocity is supposed to be there so that you don't become bankrupt in every aspect of your life. Mental bankrupt, emotional, physical, spiritual, financial. This is what this is about. Release of Hebrew servants. If a Hebrew man or woman becomes a servant, they must be released after 6 years. They must not leave empty-handed. So when they talk about slavery and all of that, people left empty-handed. And to this day, we didn't receive anything. Now, they gave everyone else whatever they gave them, the Holocaust, this one, that one. But when it came to Black people, we left empty-handed. Everything they did was to continue to keep us in bondage. They must be supplied generously from flock, grain, and wine. Israel must remember you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord redeemed you. Meaning, because I relieve you, because you were in bondage yourself. And a lot of people, when they come to this country and they took all of this foolishness and they talk about this is their land and all this, and they want other people to get out, God is not in that either. So they talk about sending people back to land that they want was never theirs, that they were here as foreigners, sojourners as well, and you want to kick everybody out. See, this is where where is the love? Because love wouldn't allow you to do this. Especially if you already been in this situation. Are we really learning from the situations we're in? Or are we just continuing to pass down the same old foolishness? This is what this is about. Are we taking accountability? Are we addressing it? Are we addressing the elephants in the room? And are we moving forward? Meaning change behavior. Because everyone has to change. If one person changes and the other don't, nothing happens. Everyone has to be accountable and take change. If you're in a relationship with someone and then let's say they're cheating. I'm just going to use this as an example. They want you to change. You change, but they remain the same. The relationship didn't change. Nothing changed about the dynamic unless both people are held accountable and change together. Why? Nothing can remain the same if changes is being implemented. Love is an action word. It is not a dead, dormant thing. It takes action. It's not you saying so you love somebody. No, you need to show them by your works. This is why faith without works, even with God, you have to show God that you love him. Why? He shows you that he loves you in the different ways that he loves you. Firstborn animals belong to God. The firstborn of the herd flock belongs to God. Must be offered, must be eaten in his presence, must be without defect. Now, this is a part of all. Remember, we just broke down the tithe and what they've been telling us about the tithe here and all the lies they've been spitting. So like I said, we have to pay attention to what is going on and what is being preached and taught to us, because this coming straight out of the Bible. I'm not sitting here talking no whole bunch of this and that and the third. I'm talking about what God has in the same chapter, in the same context that he has it in. I didn't take one scripture and go off into a whole nother rant about something else. I am talking specifically about what God put in the word. Spiritual lineage and meaning. Giving God the first protects the rest. First fruits anchor the lineage in gratitude, worship, and trust. Now, understand, they talk about first fruits all of the time. But when you look at it, the way God intended the first fruits is still different from the way they preach it. Spiritual lineage and themes. Our focus. Release breaks generational cycles. Debt release symbolizes forgiveness. Yes, letting go, breaking emotional and spiritual bondage, refusing to pass down these same burdens, meaning the same thought patterns, habits, which become patterns and cycles. Release is generational healing, and that is in every aspect. Remember that. But these are things based and rooted and grounded in what? Love. Generosity creates generational blessing. God ties blessing to open hands, soft hearts, meaning, and compassionate giving. Generosity is a lineage shaping virtue. Remember, hearts are so important, because either your heart is hard, meaning life will make it hard, because it will be guarded. It will be not receiving love, not receiving certain things. Why? Because it's full of heartache and pain. This is why God has to break it. He has to allow it to be broken so that he can soften it up. Why? Because usually your heart and the way you love and how you love is based off of whatever you know, whatever love is to you, how you grew up seeing it, how you perceive it. And depending on how that is, you will live from that lens, and that will be the problem. So this is what it is. And everyone has their own way because they grew up differently and they have different things going on. Justice is a covenant identity. God builds justice into the covenant. Releasing of debts, releasing of servants, provision for the poor. Justice is not optional. It is identity. So when we look at these things and we look about what they're talking about, and it's all about them receiving, and it's not really about them giving and doing what God says do, that is not good. Why? Because you're sowing seeds into places that it will not grow. Remember, we talked about your seed, the ground. You check yourself in your seed to make sure. Why? Because the conditions of sowing and reaping, there's a lot of conditions that come with it. And when you look up when a planter is planting the seed, and God talks about it, Jesus talks about it, and the thorns and all, how it grows, because sometimes it doesn't go into the ground. A lot happens for a seed to grow. The ground must be right, the temperature, the time of year, the ground, all of these things must take place. So when you look at all these things, it makes a lot of sense, even when it comes to sowing and reaping, where you're planting. Where you sow is just as important as what you sow and how you sow, and your intentions are behind it and motives. Why? Because if you're sowing just to receive, or if you're sowing and your mind and heart is not good, it's not in it, then it will mess up the seed as well. Why? Because it has to be intentional. On top of that, and it has to come from a good place. On top of that, or you're going to reap whatever it is you plant. Remember, on top of that, the ground itself, because if you're sowing into bad ground, it'll choke it out. The conditions, it will not allow it to grow as well. So I think I did a video on that as well. You can look back. There's a lot of stuff that I've been covering. Like I said, I have over 400 videos, and it's not to say it like that, but it's just, I'm surprised even at myself, but it's been a while. It's been almost 2 years. So I'm getting them out. I'm, learning. I'm trying to help others out here. Justice is a covenant identity. God builds justice into the covenant. So this is what this is about as well, because you have to have justice. Why? Because if you don't, then how is this going to work? You see what I'm saying? Why? God is a just and fair God. He's not about all of this extra. This is man's work, Satan's work, and their kingdoms and systems. This is not the way God set these things up. God builds justice into covenant. Releasing of debts, releasing of servants, and provision for the poor. Justice is not an optional thing. It is identity. Why? Because whom the Son sets free is free indeed. God didn't create us to be in bondage, to live up under sin. We decided that. Memory produces compassion. Remember you were slaves. Memory softens the heart, fuels generosity, prevents arrogance, creates empathy. A lineage that remembers become a lineage that heals. When you remember where you came from and how you were and what went on with you and who was there, who wasn't, who you learn to move differently. When you remember where you were and how you got to where you are. This is why God is talking about remembrance throughout all of this. Remember who I am. Remember what I've done. Why? So that you don't go, and God has invested in you his money, his time, his energy, and he expects to get the increase from your life. When you plant a seed, you expect to get something out of it. You expect it to grow and produce and multiply. And this is and if it is not, there is a problem. I'm going to get into this. Even with family and friends, whenever you are investing in anyone, your time, money, energy, and effort, and you're not receiving anything out of it, that is a problem. You're supposed to reap what you sow. And if you're not reaping it, there's an issue. Because you can reap, but you can reap a lot of bad and not the good. But if you're reaping only bad, there's a problem with that too, because you're going to reap both. So if your good is being held up, and there's a problem. And a lot of times it comes the enemy stealing, killing, and destroying your blessings. That's where that's being stolen from. So you reaping all the evil, but you're not reaping the good, because the moment something good is about to happen, they come and steal it. They take it from you before you even get it. Or create situations and circumstances. Right. They talk about sorcery, witches, warlocks, spirituality. That's where the warfare is. The devil don't care about your bad seed. He wants that good seed. Whatever's going to be a blessing to you, whatever's going to be good to you, love, family, friends, money. Yeah, he wants to steal, kill, and destroy that from you so you don't get it. That all you get is misery, tragedy, heartache, and pain. Like that's all you're going to reap. So the good seed you sow, because remember, both of them grow. It says it. The wheat, the tear, the chaff, they grow together. So I mean, good and bad grows together. But if you're only getting one, something's wrong. I said you got to check your life and what is going on, because spiritual warfare is fighting and protecting against the things that are to be blessings in your life. They don't fight the wickedness. They fight what is good. They don't want you to have it. First fruits anchor the lineage. Giving God the first sanctifies the rest, aligns the heart, protects the future. It is a spiritual reset for every generation. Why? God requires the first. Why? Because he's first in your life. Why? That's just like a parent telling you to honor them with what? Why? Because they are the first ones in your life. Outside of God, they're the first ones. They have sown so much into you. For them not to reap anything out of their investment, that's a problem. When you get old, your children's supposed to help take care of you. They're supposed to help provide and protect you just like you did when they were children. And if they don't, then something is wrong with them. Giving to everyone else and not to your own mother and father and honoring it, especially when they have taken you are going to reap a bed of curses upon your life. And when you look and you see what goes on with these young people, because you're supposed to honor your mother and father, a lot of that is why their lives are so hard. And it has a lot to do with disobedience. You cannot dishonor your parents and not help and not do and not love them and treat them properly and think God is going to bless your life. You will have certain things. It will never be the way you wanted it, though. And that's going to be a lesson you will learn the hard way. But anyway, first fruits anchor the lineage. Giving God first. Why? Because God is our Father. He gave to us first, and we can never repay him. And we don't deserve it. We don't deserve it. We couldn't work for it. We couldn't pay him back. We couldn't give him enough. We couldn't do enough, ever. He's good to us because he loves us. We do not deserve what we get. What we deserve, we don't get. The hard part of him, the side of him that is full of war, destruction, and smiting and killing. That's the side he could give us. But he gives us the side of his son because he loves us, grace and mercy. Now, if you continue to tempt him, you will get that side of him. Just like if you tempt your parents, you will get that whooping. You will get that side of them that you don't want to get. Okay. It's called correction. First fruits, anchoring lineage. Okay. Layered summary. Okay. Historical debt release is a servant release. Generosity and first fruits. Emotional release heals resentment. Yes. Because a lot of times when you don't get what it is you invested in, it comes with resentment. It comes with anger. It comes with unforgiveness. Why? Because you sowed and you didn't reap. Not the good. You reap the bad and not the good. Generosity heals fear. Generational justice, right? Because you don't want to move forward giving and doing anymore. And that was where a lot of our hearts are. That's why it's hardened. It becomes hardened. Generational justice, compassion, and open-handedness shape lineage. Identity. A free people must live as freedom givers spiritually. Release, generosity, and first fruits are acts of what? Worship. So we're going to look into this. The layered generational spiritual lineage. We're going to go through this. Summary. Okay. Deuteronomy 15 is God's blueprint, just, compassionate, economically healed lineage. It teaches Israel how to build a society where debt does not become generational bondage. Freedom is protected. Generosity becomes cultural inheritance. Justice is woven into the identity of God's people. Okay, wait a minute. Wait. I gotta get into the servant part. Okay. The declaration said, here we go. Release declarations. I release what no longer belongs to me. I refuse to carry generational debt, shame, or bondage. This is mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually. So when we're releasing all of these things. And that's every, 7 years. Generosity declarations. My hands are open, not tight-fisted. I give freely because God has been generous to me. Generosity flows through my lineage like a river. This is also comes with love. Because a lot of times we don't think love is something that should be something that's deaded or given. But see, love is a part of that as well. And if we don't have it, this is what happens. We're giving everything but the love. And the love is the main thing, because if you don't have that, you're not going to have all of this stuff. You're going to be close-fisted. You're not going to want to love nobody. You're not going to want to freely give. Why? Because if you're not receiving it and you're not getting it, a lot of times the resentment set in, the anger, this is what happens. And you feel like someone is indebted and owes you. This is where that comes in. And sometimes they do. And sometimes, it's a both-way situation. You're indebted to them. They're indebted to you for whatever went on. Justice declarations. I participate in God's justice by lifting others. I break cycles of poverty, scarcity, and oppression. My lineage is marked by compassion and equity. So when we look at this, God, like I said, God says he will give to those who give. You open up the windows of heaven, pour you out blessings. You shall not have room enough to receive. You shall be the lender, not the borrower, the first, not the last, the head and not the tail. This is what this is all about. Because you're blessed to be a blessing. It's not about just you. It's not about you receiving. It's about God blessing you to be given to you so it can flow through you. This is what multiplication is all about. This is what leadership. This is what teaching. This is what, growing others. Why? Because you want everyone behind you to come up better than you. Not to stop it off with you where you're the end or be all supply. No. But people have to be able to be willing to come up under you and to work with you to get these cycles to be multiplied amongst themselves. Because as head of households or whatever is, I'm going to get into that in a minute. This is what this is about, because you have to make certain decisions and do certain things and know everyone is not going to like what you're doing, but you have a reason as to why. And it's not to harm them, it's to help them. But their perceptions and how they see it is going to be up to them, because sometimes people can see what you're doing as something to hurt them when actually it's to help them. But because they don't like it, this is what it is. It's not something that's comfortable or they want. Identity declarations. I remember that God delivered me. I live as a free person who frees others. My lineage is rooted in God's abundance and not in fear. Release, generosity, and lifestyle. Release is forgiveness, letting go, canceling emotional debts, refusing to hold people hostage, breaking cycles of resentment. What you release, your children won't have to carry. This is what this is about. Each generation is supposed to be releasing the next to do further than they did by releasing all of these things. And this is what this is about. Open-handedness. Open hands, soft hearts, generous spirits. God commands us. Open hands create open futures. Economic justice. God builds justice into the covenant. Debt release, servant release, provision for the poor. Justice is generational architecture. Remember, you cannot be a person that is stingy and always want help. That doesn't work that way. You're stingy, you don't want to give, but you want everyone to give and you feel entitled. You like somebody owes you. No. Pillar 4, remembering deliverance. God says, remember you were slaves. Memory produces compassion. Yes, remembering who you were, where you were, and how you were in those same situations is going to determine how you're going to treat other people in the same situation. And this is why we have to be careful, because a lot of times we burn a lot of bridges with people who actually was there, loved you, cared about you. And then after they get tired of being there and they see you don't care and you're not pouring back and the well runs dry and they're done and they're dried out and they're left for dead, then they get tired. They don't want to be bothered. And this is where the hardened heart, all of these things come in. Why? Because they get tired and they say they don't want to be bothered anymore. This is where the healing, God has to step in and heal these people in their hearts. Why? Because their heart was used as, a tool. And they have to take accountability because, sometimes we'd either be loving the wrong people, pouring into the wrong people. Like I said, where you plant, how you plant, who you sow into is just as important. Because if you're going to sow into people, places, and things, and they're not going to be sowing back and they're not having your good, best interest at heart, you're just giving to someone you're not going to multiply out of. Why? Because they're going to take it on and take it for themselves and move forward. You won't get anything out of your investment. That is a problem. And if you get anything, it'll be heartache and pain. It won't be a blessing to you. It will be a lesson. Pillar 5, first fruits, God. Giving God the first fruit sanctifies the rest. It protects the lineage. It aligns the heart. Why? Because God blesses it when you give him the first. He blessed the rest. What you give determines what you inherit next. Lineage justice worksheet, debt release and freedom. 1, identifying debts, non-financial, emotional, spiritual, and relational. How do I feel owed by? Who do I feel indebted to? What emotional debts run in my family? See, this is what I'm talking about. When you look at these things, as I was sitting here thinking about this thing, all day today, because I'm sitting here like, when it comes to love, where is my life when it comes to love? I'm here by myself. I had to, buy myself my little flowers and pour into me. Why? Because where are the people that should be pouring into me? The ones that I have poured so freely into. Where is my investment? Where is my seed that I have sown? That I have gotten only the wicked and I need to be getting the other half, which is the good. Remember, the good takes longer to grow. Remember, when you grow anything, the weeds always grow faster than the grass. But the thing is, the grass is still supposed to grow. So where is the grass in your life? You're not just supposed to get the wheat and the tares. Remember, we live in a world that God had given us both good and evil. So because we get both and both grows equally the same here, guess what? You're not supposed to just get one. So when you see the bondage of, what it was called, misery being sown, there's a problem with that. Tragedy only, there's a problem with that. You're not only supposed to just be reaping that. There's seasons for that. And then there's the rest of your life. But there's supposed to be a generation of blessings as well with that. And if you're not seeing that, it's because people, places, and things are eating it up, or you're sowing into the wrong people, places, and things, and it's choking the seed out and it's not allowing it to grow. This is what we have to be looking into, seriously, if we want to see our lives with God be as he called them to be. Section 2, identifying bondage. What patterns enslave my lineage? What cycles need releasing? What burdens have I passed down? Right. What patterns, all of these things that are, okay, I love people, Stockholm syndrome, that don't love me. Just like black people, we tend to love white people and everybody else but us. And then we wonder why we get nothing, because we pour into who do not pour into us, along with our own, because that's a lot of that is within our own. And then we wonder why we don't have anything. You have to check it. But when you've been taught to do it that way, that's because you were trained to do it that way. That's all you knew. So now when you know something different, you're supposed to do it differently. You're not supposed to continue doing it that way. And this is how you're breaking the patterns of lineage. What cycles need to be released? What burdens have been passed down? Practice release. What must I forgive? What must I cancel? What must I let go of? What must I stop demanding? And this is the spiritual and the natural. This is mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually. What debts must I forgive? What debt must I cancel? What debt must I let go of? What must I stop demanding? I'm going to get into that. Practice generosity. Where can I open my hand? Who needs compassion? What resources can I share? And what generosity will heal my lineage? So when we're practicing generosity, but remember, we have to still be mindful, because we're called to be good stewards with whatever God gives us. So if we're not being a good steward, a lot of times we're not. It's going to get choked out. It's going to get, why? Because you're not stewarding properly. If you're a person that don't know how to handle finances, your money will always be going. If you're good with finances and you still see that something's going, you got to check that. A lot of stuff when it comes to not making any sense is spiritual. That means someone's fighting against whatever it is you're doing. Witches, warlocks, principalities, powers, rulers, they're fighting against your blessing. Meaning they're waiting to see when your seed is supposed to grow, your seed is supposed to be up, and they're going to come snatch it in the spiritual realm before you ever see it in the natural. And this is how you sit there and wonder, well, what happened? I've been tithing, I've been this, and I've been that, and I'm not seeing anything. Now, we talked about tithes and he talked about how it's up under the law. We're going to get into that later because they say we don't necessarily have to tithe, and the way that we tithe is totally different. Now, this is something that I'm learning along with you, so it is a process, honey. Section 5, build a freedom legacy. What freedom practices will I pass down? What justice rhythms will I teach? What abundance mindset will I model? Now, for some of us, remember, they don't like to teach us about the real things that we need to know in this world, and that is by design. Why? Because they want to always be above and over us. People who want you to be empowered will teach you the things to be empowered. They will not allow you to be asleep and or in bondage. Now, once you are revealed, it's up to you. You take it and use it to do whatever it is you need to do with it. But it's a lot of times we're blinded because we're not told a lot of things. We're not taught purposely what we really need to know because they don't want us to know it. They don't want to empower us. They want us to stay enslaved and in bondage to them. Why? Because that's where the love is not there. That's where the control, the envy, the covetousness, the lying, the manipulation, the covetousness, the pride and ego, all of that comes in. Jealousy, yeah. So now I don't want to go through. Chapter 15 is release injustice and compassion from grasping to open-handed. It breaks generational bondage. So now I want to get into the meaning of servant, slave, debt, all, ear, door, because I wanted to find out what all of these things meant. So this is a rich, symbolic, deeply generational concept in scripture. The servant, slave, the debt, the all, the ear, the door. Imagery in Deuteronomy 15 and Exodus 21 is not random. It is a spiritual architecture about identity, loyalty, freedom, and lineage. Let's break it down with the layered covenant identity style. Now, when we look at servant/slave, what this means spiritually, see, because what they've told us and what it means is two different things. In Deuteronomy 15, servant, Hebrew Eved, does not mean chattel slavery like in this American history. See? It means a person who entered service because of debt, a temporary protected time, limited servanthood. So what does that tell you? It is temporary. It is a protected time. It is limited servanthood. Why? It's the time for you to regrow, to be healed, delivered, and restored, so you can learn how to steward better. So these are tearing down and building up all the time. Why? God must do these things in your life from time to time in order for you to build, learn, and grow into new things. A system designed to prevent generational poverty. It symbolizes this. So this is not God's way of having you injustice, killed off, and all of these things. So all of the things that we have been taught by these wicked, evil Satanists, because this is what they practice, their religion is of eating people, killing people, and all of this, because they are Satan worshipers, Lucifer the devil, and his kingdoms and systems that they have set up to entrap, snare, and bondage us. Why? Because we are sheeps among wolves. They want to steal, kill, and destroy us. And this is what this is on in every aspect of our lives. Do not get this twisted. Mentally, they want to lie, steal, kill, and destroy us. Emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually. Do not ever get this, because it's more spiritual than it is anything. Why? Because they do these things. Why do you think slavery was so brutal? Which we still see the trafficking and stuff now. Drug addiction, all these things, for them to have you in every way, sickness, poverty, disease, enslaved, indebted, and trapped to who? Them, so they can be who and what in your life? God. Because whoever has everything you need and you have nothing you have to go to, they're over you. They want to be God in your life. They want to control everything you see, everything you say, everything you do. This is what that is about. That is slavery and bondage. God did not create us to be this way, and this is why. And we see where there's no love. The love could not possibly be in this. This is hate. They got the Valentine's Day, the Love Day. They got all these funky holidays. Come on now. It's about money. It's about enslavement. It's about getting you to worship their pagan gods, to get off of your calendar that you're supposed to be worshiping the true God. But they got all of this stuff switched so you can not be in a line and not do what God tell you to do and do what they want you to do. Why? Because that way you slave and trapped, enslaved, and in bondage. Why? Because if you're not obeying God and doing what he told you to do, that's the life you're going to have, whether you know it or not. Why? Because God said, choose this day what you're going to do. You're going to practice my ways and be blessed, or you're going to practice the ways of the world and be cursed. That means keeping the feast, keeping the commandments, worshiping when he tells you, doing it how he told you, all of that. See, if we're not doing that, yeah, we're up under the curse, whether you want to be or not. And that's why society and life, and there's no love in it. So a season of dependence. A servant represents someone who has lost stability, right? It happens from time to time. We go through things. Someone who needs covering, right? Until you can get yourself back together. But a lot of times, this is a time when you will see who's really there for you and who's not. Because these are the times when God is going to expose that they're going to kick you even more when you're down. Someone who is in temporary season of limitation, meaning you're in a season of transition, like God had them in the wilderness where he had to train them, deprogram them of the way they was living in bondage to try to reprogram them into living a life that is free and not in bondage, right? Exactly. A person in transition, yes. Servanthood was never meant to be permanent. It was a pathway back to stability, not a life sentence. So when you see these things happening, and I tell people this all the time, because baby, if you ain't never seen folks bounce back, and you ain't never seen them tables turn and them seasons turn, baby, you better hold on. And because why? The seasons will represent your knowledge, your learning, your testing. Just as Job, when he went through his testing, he saw who his friends were, who his wife was, who all of the people, places, and things in his life was all about when it came to him and it came to God. Why? Because they revealed themselves in the times of tribulation. How they treated him, what they said and did to him during those times were the greatest. They meant the most, and they showed him who is who and what is what. And when you're going into your new seasons, this is why you got to let people go. Because there's people in your last seasons, if they show you who they were and they were not for you, and they were snakes and they were whatever, you need to know that God is telling you to cut them snakes, burn them, cut the heads up, whatever you need to do, and move forward. Why? Because you're not going to take them into your next season. Why? Because they will kill you in your next season. Why? If God's trying to do something more for you, they were already trying to kill you in the season they was in. Don't think you're going to bring them into the next season. Why? Because then they're going to really do it. They don't want you to have and move forward. No. They are not for you. They don't love you. They don't want to see you prosper. They don't want to see you have nothing. And this is why God is getting them away from you. They would when you were at your lowest and your worst, they were the worst to you. Instead of helping you, they were always opposite, opposing you. In opposition, fighting against you at a time in your life when you needed help the most. Instead of getting help, you got more kicked, more foolishness that you ever seen in your entire life. But that's because those hearts of those people were always like that. You just didn't see it. They never liked you. They never loved you. They never wanted to really be bothered with you. You was just there for that time frame to be used, abused, and whatever. And this is where the love and the condition and all that, this is where that comes in at. Because where's the love really? No, it is not there. A picture of humanity before redemption. Before God redeems us, we are bound. We are limited. Yes, we are unable to free ourselves. This is why God keeps saying, remember you were slaves in Egypt. It's identity formation. Why? Because God is going to eventually transition you. And he's going to take you from one and he's going to rebuild you. Why? Because he'll tear down and rebuild when he sees that it's stuff going on. Why? Because you can't build on a foundation that's not steady and sturdy. Things that are built upon stuff from the world and all this other stuff, you got to build it on God and his foundation. Why? Because that is the one that's going to last throughout everything. And this is what love is all about. We're going to get into it. That what it means spiritually, that in this scripture is more than money. Yes, it is. It symbolizes a burden, something carried that weighs down the soul. This is why people can sleep and then they still sleepy. They're still tired, I would say. Why? Because the burdens and the trials and tribulations of life, the situations, the circumstances, the storms, the pharaohs, the Goliaths, the peaks, the valleys, the mountains, all of these things can weigh you down. I was talking about crushing you. The weight of the world, when you hold it by yourself, it will crush you. God has to do it for you. He has to take your burden. The burden and the yoke is easy and the burden is light. You have to give it to him. Let him carry it, and he'll give you whatever stuff you need to do and he'll have in the battles as well. And you got to pay attention. Oh, this stuff is getting on my nerves because it's not doing what I wanted to do. But anyway, okay. So obligation, a sense of I owe, I'm behind, I'm not enough. This is a problem because I myself has been going through this. A sense of you owing and being behind and not enough. An obligation would have you sticking around and being loyal to people, places, and things that you are not meant to be in. Why? And they will make you feel and think like you really owe them when you don't. When you have done all that you could and when it's never enough, and people pleasing, this is a problem. This is where the people pleasing comes in at. This is where this is a disadvantage and a disservice because God does not teach you to be a people pleaser. He does not teach you to owe any man nothing but love. You owing them, meaning indebted in any way, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, or spiritually, that is a problem. Feeling like you're behind all the time. Feeling like you're not enough. And this is a problem because God says you are enough. And no matter what season, he's there. And that's what the love of God is because it's not like man. Man will tell you, you owe them. They got a problem with you even when you don't. Even when they just want to use you. They will sit there and manipulate you and tell you, oh, you owe them after you done gave them everything and it was not enough. And they still want you to get them more. They still want you to continue. And if you don't, they'll be mad at you. They'll say you're the problem. Generational transfer, that can pass from a parent and child. Yep. Generation to generation, trauma and behavior. And this is what that is about. And being victim and not holding accountability and all of these things right along with it. Why? Because this is how it is passed down. Spiritual bondage, debt represents sin, shame, emotional burdens, and generational patterns. Booyah. Look at that. Doesn't that say a lot? It says it right there. Debt represents what? Sin, shame, emotional burdens, and generational patterns. Mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually. I don't care who you with, people, places, and things. That's what that represents in every area. This is why God commands release to break the cycles. Because you cannot stay there. If you don't release it, it's going to continue. The awl, what it means spiritually. The awl is a sharp tool used to pierce the ear of a servant who chooses to stay with their master permanently. This is a powerful symbol of why. Because the awl represents choice. The servant is free, but chooses loyalty, belonging, and covenant relationship. Meaning they were treated well. They want to stay. They don't want to go out on their own. And so they stay instead of leaving. And the awl represents, but it's not that they're bondage because they're actually free. See, the way the slave and servant man situation that God had for us and the way we were taught it is two different ways. And this is why when we get into these things, we have to go into the word for ourselves. Because people will tell you anything for their benefit, their gain. The awl represents covenant marking. It is a physical sign of identity, devotion, and chosen allegiance, meaning to that family. The awl represents love-based service. The servant says he wants to stay because I love my master, I love my family, I love this house. This is not a forced servitude. This is a chosen covenant. Why? Because if they got treated better being there. You see how some people, they have butlers and different things in these households and they live there for all. Why? Because living there was such a wonderful thing. Their lives are so intertwined. This is what that is about. And so when you look at that and you look at slavery, that's two different things. See? Because that's the manipulation that they gave us to have us in that way. Why? Because it benefited them for us to think that way and to be that way. Why? Because they use manipulation. They use the monitoring. They use us against each other. The house nigga, the field nigga. Why? They still do it today. Divide and conquer. Like I said, Willie Lynch letter. I'm going to get into that letter. I'm going to eventually do it one day. I don't know when, but I'm going to get into it because we need to break that thing down. Why? Because a lot of what we were taught is so bogus. It's such lies. It's such from the pit of hell to it's ridiculous. They are literally servants of Satan. Okay? God is not in that. They preached it. God ain't in it. He ain't never been in it. And they've been lying on God about it for so long to get what they want out of people, places, and things. To lie, steal, kill, and destroy, manipulate us of everything. Mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually. To break you down. To have you enslaved. To keep you there. up under them. Because they want to reign. They want to have pride and ego. They're jealous. They're covetous. They don't want you to have anything. Why? Because that means they lose their grip on you. And whenever someone does not want you to be free and they want to lose their grip on you, is because they want to be God in your life. The ear, what it means spiritually. Why the ear? Because biblically, the ear represents what? I think I did one on this too. With the ear, the finger, and all of that. And the feet, obedience, and the hands. Hear, O Israel, obedience begins with hearing of the word of God. Identity, whose voice you listen to, whose voice you believe, determines who you belong to. If you believe in the world and Satan, that's who your loyalty is. If you believe God, then that's who your daddy is. A covenant loyalty, piercing the ear, symbolizes I hear my master's voice. I belong to this house. My identity is tied to this covenant. Spiritual sensitivity. The ear is a gateway of instruction, identity, and alignment. A pierced ear is marked by identity. Why? Because in order for you to do anything, you're hearing, you're seeing, and you're moving and doing. That's what that's about. The door of the doorpost. What it means spiritually. The servant's ear is pierced at the doorpost. This is not random. The doorpost is a covenant location. It's where the Passover blood was applied. So what? Protect them. It was protection was declared. Identity was marked. Why? Because now they are part of that household. God is going to protect them as well as their masters, because remember, they are in their master's house and all the blessings and curses are with these families. So they're going to be blessed for being there. They have been blessed. The door represents transition. It symbolizes entering a new life, leaving an old one, choosing a new identity. Whether they were from foreign or not, once they became one of them, they're going to get the blessings. You see how one person being a part of your life can allow your life to be blessed, and then another one can have it be cursed? The door represents transition. So the doorpost represents household identity. The piercing happens at the place that says, this is my house, this is my lineage, this is my covenant family. So this is what this is about. Why? Because God blesses families, households. Why? He acknowledges them. Remember, he sees them through the lens of the fathers, meaning the last name, the lineage of the fathers. We're going to get into that as well. Why? Because God, he sees the priest, the household, and when he sees that name, that's the name of such and such. That's why when they always did the lineage, it's of the father, because he is the household that the name is under. Why? That's the one God goes to. That's the priest. That's the head. Why? Everything is after him. All the children are named after him. The wife name is in his. So that household is because that man, that name, that is in covenant with God. That's the blessing. That's why we have Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob when we ask things in Jesus' name. Why? The covenant is with Jesus. It's with him. It flows through him to us. Yes, it's with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's because they have relationships with God that we are blessed the way we are. Why? He allowed them to be used for us to come through the bridging, the intercession. The door is the witness. The house itself becomes a witness to the covenant. Putting it all together, the spiritual architecture here is a full symbolic meaning. 1, a servant is a person in temporary season of limitation. See? 2, debt, the burden that brought them into that season. 3, release, God's command to break the cycles of bondage. The all is the tool of the covenant marking, chosen loyalty. Ear, the organ of obedience, identity, and hearing God. That's why everything you hear is, see, music, right? What are you putting? Doorpost, the place of covenant, protection, and household identity. The spiritual lineage, you were once bound. This is what the entire thing means. God releases you. You are free to choose your allegiances. Your identity is marked by whose voice you obey. Your household becomes a covenant witness. Your lineage is shaped by your chosen loyalty. And this is why Moses keeps saying, remember you were slaves and God redeemed you. Because memory is compassion, generosity, justice, lineage, and healing. Why? Because if you do not remember God and you continue to move forward and you continue to go on with everyone else, after you get all you wanted from him, you will find yourself on the other side. And instead of the blessings, you will receive the curses. Because you will find yourself turning on God and not even realizing that you have done that. Why? Because God is the reason that you have everything. And if you don't know that, you will find out the moment you go back out there and you become cursed instead of blessed. And this is what this is all about. Remembering God. Why? Because he's your father. He's been providing. He's been investing. Why? So that you can move forward and be fruitful and multiply in his kingdom, not in the kingdom of Satan, Lucifer, the devil. This is why idolatry worship is so bad, because you got to think about it. God brings you here, gives you all of this stuff, and you go over there and you be fruitful and multiply his kingdom. And the investment God has put in you is over there instead of in the household where he gave you. That's just like your parents when they are blessings to your life and they have poured so much, and you go be blessings to everyone but them. Think about that. Let's get into it. Like I said, this was going to be something, and the reason I say it because I look at my life, and I was looking at it today, and I was thinking to myself, well, where is it? Where is all my energy and efforts? And this is why I've sat here, and this is why God has to heal my heart, because at the end of the day, being, before I met my husband, I was young, I went through a lot, and I have to take accountability for my stuff. Don't get me wrong, I have to. But then when I look back and I'm like, okay, well, now that I've gotten here, okay, and I'm starting to see what went wrong, I don't want to repeat those same things again. So I'm not going to continue to do those same things anymore. That means the people, places, and things I'm not going to invest and pour into and do all these things with no more. Do I love them? Yes. But I'm not, because those were not good ground for me to continue to sow in. Why? Because I received a lot of hell with those situations. I didn't receive anything good. When it talks about love and it talks about long suffering, being unconditional and all that type of stuff. But see, the love for me was not that way. It was with conditions. It was with this. And I may have had some conditions when it came to stuff that I was going to do too. But what I'm going to say is it was never to hurt the other people. And if I did, because sometimes you can unintentionally hurt people and you don't even know it. But to be released and all of these debts and all this stuff, this is what this is about. Releasing each other from it. So when I sit here and I say to myself, okay, so now I'm going to do these things moving forward. Now that I know better, I'm going to do better differently. So whom I'm choosing, like right now, like I said, in my life, I'm not choosing to deal with or be with people who are in and of my past. I love them, don't get me wrong. I wish them the best. But as far as me aligning my lives back to them, I can't. And the reason that I say that I can't, if God removed them, it was for a reason. And so moving backwards is not where I'm going. And standing still, no, God will have me stand still for a time to teach me, and then he's going to have me move forward. And so then that's going to be the release. But as far as, I don't want to be bothered with anything from the past. I just don't. I want to learn from it. I want to move forward. It is time for new breaking ground, new things. So, all things are new. And moving forward in life. And so, when it comes to dealing with the same situations repeatedly, it's things that I want to repair, just to repair them. Why? Because that's what I would want to do with the people, places, and things. I will forgive. Forgetting, no, because at the same token, those are remembrance. You must remember the things that got you to where you are. Why? Because you don't want to go back. And that's where memory, when God's going to talk about. Remember, why? Because don't forget God when you move forward and he blesses you and you get everything that you wanted. Why? Because it's so easy for us to forget the ones who were there when we had nothing, when we did nothing, when we couldn't do for nothing for ourselves, when they were pouring and pouring and pouring, and then we go on and say, oh, well, we did it and we did it on our own, and then everyone else helped pour it into you, and then you turn around and you go pour into someone who just came on the scene. They're reaping all of what someone else. This is why when you look at divorces, when you look at all of these things, when you talk about love, was it love? Is it love? What is your definition of love? And when you look up, hold on, because I'm going to look up, I'm going to look it up because I believe I did one. God's love is different from ours. And this is the love we're supposed to mimic. We will never completely have it the way he has it until he comes back for us. But there's ways we can get as close to it as we can. Here's a rich layer, spiritually, intelligently explanation of what charity and love, because they go together in the Bible, especially the famous connection between the two. And we're going to go through this, the meaning of it. Charity in the Bible, what it actually means in older English translations means, especially the King James Version, which I like the Ethiopian version better, but the word charity is used where modern translation says love. So the Greek word behind charity is agape. This is not emotion, romance, affection, and sentiment. See, that's what we're doing today, what we did yesterday. Right, that's not that. It is a covenant love. It's the kind of love that acts, gives, sacrifices, and chooses. Agape equals love that gives even when it costs. That's why the King James Version translators use the word charity, because charity means love expressed through giving. So if you're in situations where you're thinking it's love and you're doing all the giving and you're not receiving, is that really a good ground to sow into? Check your seed, check your giving. Charity equals love in action. Love is the root. Charity is the fruit. Love is the internal posture. Charity is the outward expression. Agape is not proven by feelings. It is proven by what? Generosity, compassion, sacrifice, justice, mercy, open-handedness. This is why Paul says, and now abide of faith, hope, love, charity. These three, but the greatest of these is charity, because it's love. Charity is love made visible. Charity as a covenant love. The Bible and charity is not a random kindness. It is a covenant-shaped love. It reflects God's character, God's generosity, God's justice, God's compassion, God's faithfulness. Charity is the love that lifts the poor, protects the vulnerable, restores dignity, breaks cycles, heals communities. It is the love that acts. Charity as a spiritual lineage. This is where it gets deep. In Scripture, charity is not just a virtue. It is a lineage marker. A lineage shaped by charity becomes a lineage shaped by abundance, compassion, justice, generosity, and blessing. A lineage shaped by lack of charity becomes a lineage shaped by what? Scarcity, hardness, fear, selfishness, and injustice. Do you not see what that says? So when we look at this world and we see what we're living, where is the love? Charity is generational architecture. It builds emotional health, spiritual stability, economic justice, community strength, covenant identity. This is why God commands Israel to what? Open their hands, release debts, care for the poor, feed the widow, the orphan, and the foreigner. That's where the what? Tithes is supposed to go, a lot of them, and the Levites. Because charity protects the lineage from becoming Egypt again, meaning what? In bondage, enslaved. They was reaping. No, they were sowing and not reaping anything. The Egyptians was getting it all. Because when you're bondage and you're a servant and you're a slave, that's what happens. You reap nothing of what you've been giving. It goes all to whoever is over you. And that's why they want to keep you. When you look at slavery in a whole, what did the slaves reap? What did we benefit out of the labor? Nothing. We built up countries, cities, and we reaped nothing. We sold with our blood, sweat, tears, and lives with our families, and we got nothing in return. Pay attention. Because charity protects lineage from becoming Egypt again, charity as an evidence of God's love in you. Jesus says, by this, all people will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. What does that say? Love one another. What was the description of love? All those things, and long suffering is in there. And I want to find it when it says long suffering. Because a lot of times people don't understand love is this butterfly. No, you suffer long when you love people. You're patiently waiting, right? God patiently wait and long suffer for us. By this, all people will know you are my disciples. If you love one another, not by miracles, not by knowledge, not by gifts, not by titles, not by positions. You see that? But by agape, love expressed as charity. Charity is the proof of spiritual maturity. Hello, somebody. Do we not see what he just said? Not by miracles, not by knowledge, not by gifts, not by titles, not positions. No, not by your money, what you look like, not by your fat booty, your nice six pack. No, that's not what that's about. If you don't get fat, if you don't do this, if you don't pay a bill, if you don't do this, yeah, if another woman come along or another man come along and they got more money and they look better, oh, we don't love. Or when it comes to the family, we don't want to pour in. We only want to take this. Everybody, let's pay attention because we're celebrating love, right? Okay. Charity as the highest form of love. Paul says charity is greater than faith, hope, knowledge, prophecy, tongues, and sacrifice. Why? Because charity is the only virtue that will exist in eternity. What was that? Charity is what? The only virtue that will exist in eternity. Where's our charity, baby? Meaning our love. Where's the love we freely give? Where's the love we've been given? Are we giving justice? Are we giving mercy? Are we giving these things truly? Or are we giving bondage and slavery wrapped as love that we think and we're selling to people, as the butterflies and all of this, but it comes within bondage and slavery, entrapment, and all these things. Come on, let's talk about it. Let's be real. Because charity is the only virtue that exists in eternity, meaning in heaven. Faith will become sight, hope will be fulfilled, but love, agape, remains what? Forever. So where's the love, people? Everybody celebrating the love on the day that they gave us the love, right? Where's the love at? In them receiving money and telling you some lies about love? Because if they love you, why they got you in bondage, enslaved, indebted, and all these things? Killing you off, killing your land off, killing the animals off, killing everything, your sickness, disease, poverty. Where's the love, honey? Where's the love? That's not love. Couldn't possibly be. Honey, if you love me that way, I would hate to see what you did if you hated me. Because see, that's the thing. People say they love you, but if you really love somebody, would it be the attributes of hate? Or is you slapping some hate on some lies, some cheating, some manipulating, some what else? So you can get over, so you can keep somebody in bondage because you don't want them to be free and love nobody, nobody love them. You want to be God and you want to keep them in bondage to you, whether you want them or not. But you just want them there. But you call it love. And you lie, cheat, steal, manipulate them, make them stay there with you saying you love them. No, you want to control them. You want to enslave them. You want to be God in their life. You don't want them to think for themselves, have free will. No, that's not what you want. So you call it love, but it's not. It's control. It's dysfunction. That's what that is. It's slavery. It's Stockholm syndrome. Love the one that hates you and worship in the door. Ain't that what the Egyptians did? Which is the same system we're under of slavery and bondage, where they pretend to love you, tell you they love you, but show you in every way that they hate you while lying and manipulating you. Hello, somebody. Charity as generational calling. Your lineage, specifically, charity means you break cycles of scarcity by giving. You break cycles of hardness by compassion. You break cycles of injustice by generosity. You break cycles of fear by open-handedness. You build a legacy of abundance, not survival. Charity is not something you do. It is something you become. Jesus. Fix it, Lord. Fix it. Because everybody running around here with the love flowers and the candy talking about love, love, love. Where is the love for real? And that's for the government. That's for the world at whole. You eating people, sexually assaulting people, killing kids, eating people. You're killing off everything. You're releasing sickness, disease, poverty. You're doing all these wicked things. Everything we do in this world is to destroy us, and yet you say it's love. Where's the love? Where's the love? In relationships, do you really love the people you say? Your family, your friends, on your job, everywhere. Do you really love? Are you really showing love? Are you really representing love? Are you really doing that? Or is it lies and manipulation so you can get what you want out of folks? That's deceit. That's the devil. That's sorcery. Witchcraft and sorcery is manipulation, lying and manipulating, telling people what they want to hear so they can get what you can get from them, what you want to get. And you lie and you hide and put things to the side. You don't tell them the truth. You tell them what you want to tell them, half of the truth. Why? So you can get what you want, have the upper hand and keep them in bond. Let them think there's change. There's no change. You just operating differently. You manipulating them differently. But yeah, I love you. Really? That's love? No, that sounds like bondage to me. That sounds like slavery in Egypt to me. Ain't that what they worship in here? Where's the love? Where's the love? Where's the love? Where's the love at? Oh, let me read the version where it says, please put it up here. I want to read it to y'all. Because I'm going to read this and I'm going to, after we just said all of that and what we've been taught, we need to really sit down and think about us. Okay, this is the Bible verse. It is 1 Corinthians 13:13. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but greatest of these is charity. This is where the charity, agape love, the highest form of scripture. Now, where is the actual? I want to see the actual. Let me go back because it's not showing me the exact. I'm going to go. Hold on, give me a second. I'm going to look it up because I want to read it verbatim. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is what the Bible says, and I'm going to read it verbatim. 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. Please look it up for yourself. Love is what? Patient. Charity, love, the same. Kind. Love is kind. It's not weak, it's kind. Difference between weakness, being stupid, and being kind, right? Okay. It does not envy, it does not boast. It was not envy. Do we not envy, covet, jealous, boast? Yeah. It does not boast. It is not proud. Ooh. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. Whoa. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Wow. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. What? It always protects. Always trusts. What? Always hopes, always preserves. Oh, where do we see that? Ooh, are we really seeing that? Let's talk about it. Let's really get into it. 1 John 4-7. Dear friends, let us love one another, for love comes from God. Everyone who loves, they've been born of God and knows God, right? Matthew 22:39. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. 1 John 4:19, we love because he first loved us, right? Bible verse on charity, 2 Corinthians 9-7. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Now Galatians 5:13 says, for you were called to freedom, brothers. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. Serve? Hebrews 13:16. Do not neglect to do good and to share what you have, for such sacrifices are pleasing to God. Luke 6:38. Give and it will be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For with the measure you use it will be measured back unto you. So now when we look at these things, hold on, because there's the one with the long suffering, because that's the one that I want to see. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I want to see the one that says long suffering, because sometimes we don't understand that love is long suffering at times. We need to understand that. we need to understand that. But it's not going to tell you to make you a slave of it. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Okay. Fruits of the Spirit, what does Galatians 5:22 mean? Joy, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. But the fruit of the Spirit is joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith. So when we look at these things, and we suffer long, because God has suffered long for love. And at times, after you just suffered a long time, yeah, you got to get out of that, because that God still gives you a time frame where you go from a season of suffering and you're gonna come out of it, right? So after you just suffered a while, because God says He's gonna what? Deliver you. He's gonna come in and He's gonna remove you from that bondage. So it's like after a while, when you look at love and you look at this stuff that goes on in the world, and you think about how people want you to be in bondage to them, and they say that it's love and it's not, whether it's through, your job, whether it's through your family, your friends, your relationships, your significant others, your spouses, whether it's to, even when it comes to your careers and your education, or whatever it is that you want to put your love into. Like I said, when it's a mentally, emotionally, physically, financial, spiritual thing, love can be whatever it is that you make it out of. Because a lot of times people love things, people, places, and things, and they make idols out of them by loving them, and loving them more than they love God and everything else. It could be education, it could be beauty, it could be whatever. And because of these things, it could be vanity, it could be fame, it could be whatever. And you love it. You see what I'm saying? So you do all of these things because you idolize and worship and adore and love it. So you really pour your all into it. So now we need to figure out, what is it that we love and idolize and adore more than we do God? And is it really love? Because a lot of times, like I said, people think love is one thing and it's really not, or their version of love that they know love to be. And when you see God gives us free will, he's not controlling of us. He's not, demanding. I mean, he wants certain things, but if you don't, he lets you go on about your business. He's not going to forcibly make you love him and serve him. See, this is what that's bondage. You see what I'm saying? He's not going to manipulate you, lie to you, and tell you a bunch of things to keep you over here with him. That's not what he's going to do. And so when we look at these things and we see them, and I'm the type of person, because I just say, you can't force people to love you. And once you understand that, you can't force them to be good to you, to like you, and all of that. So you have to release these people, because you're not going to be in a bondage situation. God does not call us to be in bondage. And if you do suffer a while, the seasons always change and you come out of that suffering, right? That's what that's all about. So you're not supposed to stay in misery. You're not supposed to stay in bondage. You're not supposed to stay. No. That's not supposed to be an ongoing thing. You may have a season of these things, even with your debt and your finances and all of that, but you're never going to stay there, because the seasons and the tables and the times always going to change. And this is why I tell people all the time, be careful of the seasons and be careful of the people, places, things, who you burning the bridges, and when, how, and who God's sending and who's taking away. Because he give it, he take it away. Why? Because God's not going to let a person that tried to love you or was sent to love you be in bondage because you wasn't ready or whatever. People move on. And a lot of times what people do not understand is when they're not being treated properly for a certain amount of time, they don't mind moving forward, because after a while, enough is enough. Their heart, their mind, their mental, emotional, physical, financial, spiritual cannot take anymore. And when you get to that point where you just sick and tired of being sick and tired of any and everything, you will move on gladly, willingly. You will, if it's the last thing, if you just got to take that one little bag and you just got to go and leave everything, you will. Because when you get tired and you don't want to do that no more, that's when you really know you done. You see what I'm saying? And nobody has to tell you that. It's like people, I've seen people in, battered women. I was one, and I was, with my abuser. Honey, you couldn't tell me nothing. When I loved him and he was whooping on me, I loved him. At 16 years old, I was in a domestic violence shelter at 16 with a son, a year, my oldest son, a year and a half old. I was in domestic violence shelter, okay, at 16. Thinking I'm grown, want to be grown, and ended up, because they won't listen to my daddy and they won't listen to my parents, thinking I'm grown, got out there and ended up getting beat up. And somebody who wanted me to listen and be God in my life and rule over me and tell me that that's love, and it was not. That was bondage. That was dysfunction. That was control. That was evil, wicked, and demonic, straight from the pits of hell, because God does not love you by beating on you, abusing you, mistreating you. That's not love. That's dysfunction. That's control. That's manipulation. That's sorcery. That's witchcraft. That's all these things. It's not love. But people would say that that's love. See, the ones who don't know no better, because that's their version, or that's all they know that love is. I'm not saying people as things can't change, but what I'm saying is that's not love. We see what God says love is, right? So now when we're looking at these things, because I just used that as an example, we need to look at it from those point of views, because see, a lot of people, they and even the world will give you their version of love, but it's not love. It's wrapped in lies, manipulation, deceit. You're only going to know what they want you to know. You're only going to do what they and be as far. That's that. And they're going to keep you in bondage and beneath them and in chain and in shackle. Why? Because that's what this is about. But that, as we can see, it is not love. Not at all. It couldn't possibly be love. That's not what God says love is. So when we look at these things, we must pay attention, people. And I'm just sitting here because I'm like, if I remember being married when I was married, and he's not the only one, because I went through this, with men who, and that's why I say when it comes to relationships, when it comes to family, friends, when it comes to all of this stuff, I'm where I am at this place and time in my life, because I know why I'm here. I know why I'm sitting by myself with God at his feet. Why? Because I know that those things were not love. I thought they were then, but they were not. They were never love. That was imitation, a manipulative Stockholm Syndrome love that was presented to me as love. It was a lie for me to accept and think that that's love, and it was not. And for a long time, I believed, I accepted it, and thought that that was really love, but it was not. It was never love. It was manipulation. It was lying, cheating, stealing, deceit. It was slavery, wrapped all in wanting to be presented as love, but it was not. It was never that. So now when I sit here and I say, with all the men that I've been with, they cheated. They didn't care about their kids. They didn't care about me. They wanted to go, have me, make me do what they wanted. And whether they were with me and had others, they still wanted me to stay. That's not love. They want to do what they want to do, but they want me to do what they say. That's not love. They want to run around with all these other women while I stay faithful to them, where they have no faithfulness and loyalty to me. That's not love. That's lies. That's deceit. That's manipulation. That's control. That's demonic. It's dysfunction. It's not love. And so when we understand and we look at these things, have a baby by me and stay here, and I'm gonna have all these other women and all these things, and then you stay and I give you the bare minimum or what I want, and you stay here and you hold your life up and you don't be with no one else. You don't let no one else touch you. You do what I say do, and that's not love. That's control. That's dysfunction. So I want everyone out there who's looking for love, all you people, let God love you and let him show you how to love and what love really is about. Because folks will give you whatever they say is love. This world is full of it when it comes to the love. It's so full of the lies, the manipulation, the witchcraft and sorcery to let you think that this is love when it is not. They love to do that, to keep you in bondage, to keep you stupid, to keep you dumb, to keep you chasing and doing for them, to let you sacrifice your life and they be up on a pedestal while you sacrificing and they're giving you nothing, if anything, the bare minimum. And you are supposed to be so happy and accepting of it. Get out of that. I don't care where you are, who you are, what you're doing. I don't care where and what and who and how it is. In your career, in your job, with your friends, with your family, with your spouses, whoever. Get out of that. I kept feeling like I was Cinderella. And I had this evil, wicked step people. And I'm just supposed to be sitting here and I owe them something. I'm indebted. They feel like I'm supposed to do. And I'm supposed to be the bond servant and their slave. And I'm supposed to wait and give and love and do. And I get nothing. And bare minimum. And told that I love and they don't do. And manipulated and lied. No, you got to get out of that. When you get sick and tired of that, ending up with nothing, heartache and pain you invested in everyone else, and you will stop pouring yourself, love yourself. I went and bought myself some flowers. Let me show you my flowers. Let me show you my flowers that I went and bought myself. Love myself, pour into myself. Why? Because I'm not going to keep doing this anymore. I'm not going to keep doing this anymore. And no one has to love me. I'm not begging and forcing them to. They don't have to. That's not what I want. Anyone going to love me because they want to. I want to. And it's going to have to really be from God. And he's going to have to show. See, I bought myself flowers today. Why? Because I'm worth it. All the love I was pouring into others, pouring to myself. Please start doing that for yourself, people. Because you need to love you first. And you need to let God love you and teach you how to love in order for you to love anyone else. Now, be blessed. Bruised and not broken. You can like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I had to rest, put some love in myself, get up and love me, because days like this, it's like, people go through things. And you have to be able to deal with whatever it is you go through. And knowing that God got me here and by myself and not around folks for a reason. Why? Because if you don't need me no good, I don't need to be around you no way. If you're not really going to love me, if all you're going to do is come and do what everyone else did, that's why you need a healing, for your heart and all that. You need a time out for yourself. Why? Because you need that. Because you'll go around spewing the same thing, the anger, the hurt, the bitterness, the resentment. Why? Because after your heart has been used so much as a tool, to be toyed with, you don't want, you get guarded and gated. And you put that gate and that lock and that padlock, and it becomes hard. And the very thing God wants you to do and use it for, to love others and pour out, you can't do. Why? Because you're so hurt and you're so bottled up that you don't want to release anything. You have the grudge. You have the hurt. Why? Because you don't want to give and do, because you're not getting it. And most people who give and do, they're giving and doing because they want in return. That's the areas in their life that they are lacking the most. And this is why they accept and put up with so much. This is why they people please. Why? Because they give love because it's something they don't have. A lot of them did not have it or did not have enough of it and didn't get it. And what you lack, you chase after. Like it's air. You give it because you want it. And it's sad because when you look at people who not getting love like that, giving it, that says a lot. Or trying to give whatever little they have to give, whatever they know to give because they want it so badly in return, that lets you know that there's something. There's something. Because most people wouldn't even want to be bothered. I get to the point where right now, that's where I am. Because I know that that's where I need to be. I need God to be healing me before I ever give any more love anywhere. God has to heal me to even want to be bothered with that. You see what I'm saying? And whatever I'm giving right now or I have been was out of love that I didn't know or I didn't have or thought I had and thought I knew and it wasn't the proper love either. I gave what I knew. And a lot of me didn't even have a whole lot of that. And I gave whatever I had, I gave it. And that's why I was depleted. So now here we are, and we need to learn from that. And we need to pay very close attention to that. And we don't need to continue in these patterns and cycles anymore. We need to let God heal us. And just sit down and just, have God love us. And even though when we're hurting, we're going through, just sit back and let God, just cry it out, do whatever you need to do, and let God. Don't go out there chasing something because you feel like you need to have something in any and everybody, because you're going to make it worse. You're going to make it worse for yourself. Because you're not going to be happy, you're not going to be satisfied, you're going to get more of the same, and that's that. Let God do it. Let him heal you. Let him, if it's somebody for you in whatever areas that need to be healed, let it, because it's just going to bring about more pain. And when I sit here and I think to myself, I'm like, raised everybody, then dead and poured, now pouring and loving me. God has to show me how to love out for all that I didn't get. I don't even want it anymore from anyone else. Not right now. Let God heal me and love me and show me how to love myself. Because when I wanted it, nobody wanted to give it. So now I got to a place where I don't even want it. You can keep it. I don't even want it. If you beg somebody for something for so long and you didn't get it, after a while you just say, that quit it. I don't want it anymore. Forget it. You can have it. You can keep it. Because I don't want to force nobody. You see what I'm saying? So it just is what it is. And I don't want no half stepping. And I'm going through my own stuff and they need to be going through their own. So it is what it is. But anyway, like I said, bruised and not broken. Like, share, comment, and subscribe for all of those who are out there. If nobody else loves you, God loves you. He is love. He's the epitome of love. Get with him and let him show you how to love on you. He's going to love you so you can love you, so you can learn to love others properly, the proper way. Be blessed, bruised, and not broken. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I do have in my Cash App where you can Cash App me. If you would like to be a blessing to my family, that is fine. Myself and my family, that would be wonderful. If not, then that is fine as well. God is my provider. Be blessed, bruised, and not broken. And where is the love, baby? Are we really loving? Are we really in love? Do we really have love? And if so, we need to see the fruits of it. Your labor. Anything you sow into. Anything you invest, you're supposed to get a harvest. Some will be good and some will not, because we reap and sow both. Be blessed. If not, look into your life. Take a step back. Get with God and figure it out. Love you guys. Bruised and not broken. To the next one.